Greetings, everybody. It is Friday again, May the 14th, and this is my weekly video update to you. A few things, but I want to circle back around to something that is not COVID. The Inclusion Council. Remember, I started talking about that a while back in the early summer, sometime around that time. And we formed the Inclusion Council. Um, Lots of things kind of slowed us down a little bit. One kind of big thing called COVID. But Shanika Pygott is the leader on this, and she has really kind of gotten some um, traction underway in the last uh, few weeks, several days, so forth. So the bottom line is the Inclusion Council has been very, very active. Thank everyone, you know who you are, that are out there on that council. Thank you for your work. And most importantly, thank you for your thoughtful consideration. These folks are looking at first, what do we mean when we say things like inclusion, diversity, equity? So look for that to come out in the future. They've done some very hard work in what this means to Care South, to us. We don't care what Webster dictionary says or any of the others. We want to know what it means to us and our hearts. And they've worked really hard. So number one, thanks to all of y'all that are on the Inclusion Council. I really appreciate your thoughtful discernment and consideration, and especially Shanika. You've done a very, very good job in leading and inspiring these folks because this is very important for Care South. Okay, so let's talk about COVID stuff. Well, first off, good news. Herd immunity campaign at Care South. We are making progress, folks. I'm really very, very excited about that. I hate to give you some numbers because it changes daily. It seems like we are almost on a daily basis getting one or two staff that want to be vaccinated. So I can tell you that we're probably at around 61% right now. We don't have far to go to make that 70% goal. So the $500 drawings are looming closer and closer. And I rolled out to sweeten the pot, so to speak, that we were going to do an even bigger thing in that if various sites reached 80% vaccination rates, that everybody on the site for that matter, would get an extra day of vacation. Now I know you're saying, well, why does everybody get an extra day of vacation? Because they didn't get vaccinated. But you are all a team, and that's the way I've got to look at it. You are all a team, and 80% is a pretty high bar. Although I got to go ahead and tell you that there are some sites that, if they haven't reached it, are very, very close. So get going out there, folks. Um, it can't be that you don't want and need an extra vacation day. So I know you can work on it, but let's get moving on it. We are offering rapid testing now. We have rapid testing equipment in every single site, and for a while we were kind of holding back on it, but now we really, really, really want to encourage it for all of you. We have opened it up to the public. We're not making a big advertisement around this because we are doing it at no additional cost to anyone. We know that's kind of different from what has been going on in rapid testing in other locations. Sometimes it's $70, $80 out of pocket, but testing still remains one of our very good defenses against the spread and growth of this pandemic. So I really encourage your friends and your family and yourself. If you have any questions around whether or not you got some exposure, or whether or not that cough or sore throat or what have you, go ahead and get tested. Um, it is very important. The next step is we are going to be getting some free additional rapid testing equipment from the feds. Have reached out and said that some of this is going to be made available, and we're really looking forward to it. So we really, really want to get in the habit of encouraging testing and encouraging, there's no limit, encourage frequent testing. So I really want to make that point. But let me remind you that although this is testing that's taking place at our office, sometimes you may have someone that gets tested at a different location. Remember, if their positive test comes back, you really, really, really need to let Tracy Thigpen know, because this has an impact. We have, number one, we have to report it to the feds if it is an employee, and number two, that could lead to some determinations, and I know you don't want to hear this word, but around quarantine, or at least staying home during a period of time before you can get tested yourself. So please remember this. If there is a positive result with you or within your family or anyone that you are close with, please report that to Tracy. We also want to make sure that those folks get referred to our monoclonal antibody treatment, because that's really important to catch someone in those very, very early days after they've been diagnosed with a positive test can really make a difference. It makes a huge difference in whether or not they will need hospitalization or how sick they become, and it even has a lot of impact on deaths. Now, I know that everybody is thinking, well, there's not that many cases out there now, and the death rates have declined. And, are we really still having a pandemic? Yes. Let me answer that real simply. We are still having a pandemic. As a matter of fact, the state of emergency for the state of South Carolina was recently extended, and it was extended for that very reason, that we are still in a pandemic. As a matter of fact, the data says that in South Carolina, we are still moderately severe in terms of cases and the spread and so forth. So we are nowhere out of the woods yet. Not good news, I know. But especially whenever we've had a good spring and everybody wants to get outdoors. But we have had some good news. There's been CDC guidelines that are giving us a little bit more flexibility. Those of us who have been vaccinated. Um, so, the message is pretty clear. Get vaccinated. We now have evidence that is irrefutable that these vaccines are extraordinarily safe. They are extraordinarily effective, even against the variants. Yeah, we are worried about those variants. We are concerned about them because, even if the vaccine is safe against the variants, they spread. They spread rapidly. And we know a lot of states that are near to us have been able to do a lot of the more aggressive analysis to determine their caseload of variants. For example, Florida already figured out or did some testing, and they have at least 12,000 cases of the variants. Well, where I-95 goes, right through our state and right down into Florida. A lot of people are vacationing down there. So the spread of the variants is a very, very big concern. Let's don't let this be a bad summer. Let's all get vaccinated. Let's stay safe. Let's do the right thing. And let's get this thing over with. You also probably heard on the news that Pfizer recently got approved that their vaccine can be appropriately used for kids over the age of 12 now. And you may be thinking, that seems awfully young. Well, vaccines have proven to be extraordinarily effective in young kids. And with all the testing and the scientific evidence that we have, Pfizer really was able to successfully prove that it could be effective and safe for kids um, from 12 and older. Moderna is right on its heels. They are looking to get their vaccine approved sometime in early or mid June, sometime around that time. You know, we have never ordered Pfizer, but we are considering it because no word yet on whether or not we're going to do it. There's a lot of things about Pfizer. It used to be that in order to have that Pfizer vaccine, you had to have that super, 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 super cold storage, which hardly anybody has except big hospitals and labs and so forth. But that has changed a little bit. They were able to tweak their formula a little bit, and it can be stored, although only for 2 weeks at normal freezer temperatures. So there's a lot to consider. But we know that there are a big need to have kids aged 12 and older, the younger kids, to get vaccinated. We're hearing a lot of school activity out there where kids are receiving vaccinations. And we certainly want to be able to offer to our schools and our kids and our children and our own families this vaccine. So we're working on it. Stay tuned. We don't know yet whether or when. We pretty much know that we will at some point. We just don't know when and if it'll be Pfizer or Moderna. But understand that this is still a very safe vaccine. Before it got released and approved by the FDA and CDC, it went through some more rigorous trials and tests. So please be assured of that. There is nothing wrong with the science that backs up these vaccines. Don't listen to the myths and, you know, the gossip or what have you that too many times we see on our social media news feeds. Um, we know that it is very, very safe and very effective. And that's part of our Sleeves Up campaign. Remember, I talked about that last week. We've got a pretty intensive campaign that's going on out there called Sleeves Up. Roll them up for the vaccine. We've developed good messages that are based on solid science, not myths, not hearsay, and not when somebody told their grandmother, who told their aunt, who told their uncle this. It's based on solid scientific evidence around the safety and the efficacy, the solid results that these vaccines produce. There's not that many breakthrough cases. I know you may be hearing stories about, well, so and so and so and so had the vaccine, but darn if they didn't get COVID. Those are what's called breakthrough cases. And in the state of South Carolina, right now, we have hard data on this. And there is only 0.00013 cases of breakthrough cases, patients that have had the vaccine but got COVID. And even in those few cases, their disease was not very life threatening or anything like that. It was not a harsh amount of symptoms. Nationwide, it's the same thing. It's only 0.0007 percent. So it's a very, very low breakthrough vaccination rate. Get the vaccine. It's still very effective and very, very safe. Um, our Sleeves Up campaign is like I was talking about earlier, is rolling really good. We've got some great messengers that have done videos. Some of our own providers have stepped up. Thank you so much, folks, who have done that. We've got folks that are pastors out in our community churches. We've got some community leaders, sheriffs, legislators, and so forth that have done these videos, and their pictures are going to be on our flyers and so forth. And we're really, really getting into this campaign. It's a lot of hard work, let me tell you. Our marketing department is running around getting these videos made, getting these flyers done, and then our outreach and community health workers. It's a real scramble. It's discouraging right now, though. There are not a lot of people uh, that want the vaccine. So we need everybody to get behind this. We need to get this pandemic in control. See when we can get life back to, well, I don't know that life is ever going to get completely back to normal, but get back to a restoration of peace and well being and safety and happiness without fear. Um, I look back on this time a year ago and remember those days where a sore throat kind of made everybody wonder, oh no, oh no. And we don't need to work with that amount of stress and anxiety. We need peace. We need our good health. We need safety. So, folks, let's go and have a good weekend. So far, the weather forecast says it's pretty good. One of the coldest days in the whole nation was here in South Carolina this week, but I think we're going to have a real spring day. Enjoy it. Have a very safe, very restful, peaceful weekend. And I'll be talking again next week with you. Bye bye.